Good evening, everyone. Thank you all for coming to the 2021 Presidential Candidate Debate for the Undergraduate Student Senate at Virginia Tech. My name is Abby Patterson, and I will be the moderator for tonight's event. We are so excited for such an important night in the inaugural election of the USS. We hope that this debate will serve as an opportunity for you to make an informed decision about who you would like to present the undergraduate student body when voting next week from October 18th to 21st on Gobbler Connect. Tonight, you will hear from the two presidential candidates. They will be given the opportunity to share their opening statements and then respond to a list of prepared questions. We will then take a short 5-minute break, after which the candidates will answer questions submitted from the audience. If you think of a question throughout the event, please scan the QR codes that were given as you entered. There are also additional QR codes throughout the rows. These will take you to the question submission form. For those of you who are joining us via the live stream, the question submission form can be found in the description of the stream. Tonight's debate should conclude before 8 p.m. Before we begin, I would like to read the ground rules for the debate. Opening statements will be no longer than 2 minutes each. 2 minutes will be allotted for each candidate to respond to each question. A maximum of a single 1-minute rebuttal will be permitted to each candidate if they choose. If a candidate goes over time, they will be allowed to finish their sentence and then they will be cut off. Candidates are not allowed to speak over each other or cut each other off. If you speak over another candidate, your mic will be muted. No intentionally harmful remarks will be allowed. Criticizing policies and actions taken or not taken is permitted, but attacking a candidate themselves is not. Audience members, there should be no interruptions from the audience. Any questions or comments audience members may have must be submitted through the provided form. QR codes are posted around the room for your convenience. If audience members are found to be disruptive, you will be asked to leave the debate. Candidates may remove masks when speaking, but must wear masks at all other times. Audience members must wear masks for the entire duration of the debate. Please ensure your masks are covering both your mouth and your nose. Our two candidates tonight are Caroline Lohr and Miles Guth. Please welcome our candidates to the stage at this time. Each candidate has submitted a bio that I will now read on their behalf. First, we have presidential candidate Miles Guth. Greetings, my name is Miles Guth. I'm a junior studying biomedical sciences, and I am running to be re-elected as student body president this year. These are the 5 main points I promise to focus on during my administration: connection to the students, preserving diversity, earning students' trust, uplifting student voices on a university-wide scale. I am here for the students. I'm a very outgoing, passionate, focused, and seasoned leader with a personal mission to put the needs of others ahead of my own, pursuing excellence and making the USS a truly productive and representative body. Next, we have presidential candidate Caroline Lohr. With the construction of USS, it is important to compare USS and SGA in understanding its failures and ensuring future success. This change needs to start internally so that we may impact the greater student body and community along with local officials residing in it. My utmost important concern is hearing from the student body and acting as an allied connection between the students and Virginia Tech administration. Through being a voice of champion for all marginalized groups in need of advocacy, I hope to make every person feel validated and heard while getting as much accomplished as we can. Candidates, you will now have 2 minutes each to read your opening statement. Candidates flipped a coin earlier tonight to determine who would go first. Caroline, you will go first, and then Miles. Caroline, your 2 minutes starts now.
Hi, my name is Caroline Lohr, and I'm running to be your next student body president. I am a junior pre-law psychology major and an active member in Alpha Chi Omega, along with being an active member in Panhellenic leadership. Virginia Tech has been my home away from home since I was little. My dad is an alumni, and I started coming to football and basketball games for over 15 years now. Having the opportunity to stand before you and run for president of the school I love and have loved my entire life is an incredible honor. I am so appreciative and grateful for this opportunity. I was in class one day during the beginning of the semester, and my teacher brought up Mahatma Gandhi and his famous saying, "Be the change you want to see in the world." I have heard that quote more times than I could count, but something about him saying this really stuck with me. My slogan is Be the Change. Because of this, I am ready to lead a team to focus on change and reformation for Virginia Tech. It is my mission to seek success and seek change in areas that need it most. To me, those areas are the safety of our students in regards to sexual violence and awareness, push for equity and protection along with enforcement of Title IX, mental health resources, and ways Virginia Tech can become more environmentally sustainable. I look forward to sharing more this evening about my leadership skills and how I can best serve our student body. Thank you for your participation, and I hope that I can earn your support.
Thank you, Caroline. Miles, your 2 minutes starts now.
Well, I just want to thank SECL and the Election Commission for putting on tonight's debate. This is a really important event. Thank you to Abby and Akil for moderating. The audience and everyone watching the live stream, thank you for coming out to support us. And lastly, to Ms. Lohr for being here. I really look forward to our conversation. So greetings and good evening to you all. My name is Miles Taylor Guth. I'm a junior studying biological sciences on the pre-med track as part of the Honors College, and I'm from Fairfax, Virginia. Woo! I am very excited to be in the race for president in the USS 2021-22 academic year. I've been serving in student governance at VT for 2 years and was the president of the organization for the spring 2021 semester, as well as this preceding summer. Throughout my life, I've been involved in student leadership, as well as music, athletics, and I earned my Eagle Scout rank when I was a freshman in high school. I have a wealth of knowledge and experience in the university governance structure here at Virginia Tech, and I look forward to using that experience in the pursuit of a better Virginia Tech for the students who call it home. I'm a very outgoing, passionate, focused, and seasoned leader with a personal mission to put the needs of others ahead of my own. I'm really looking forward to working with the student body as we pursue excellence in our effort to make the Undergraduate Student Senate a truly productive and representative body for our undergraduate students. My campaign is focused around one singular idea: for the students. USS is a servant leader organization, and that means we are working for the betterment of all undergraduate students here at Virginia Tech. I hope you will grant us your support in the election, and we welcome you to get involved with USS in the coming year.
Thank you, Miles. We will now move into prepared questions. The candidate that answers first will alternate with each question. As a reminder, you each have 2 minutes for your initial response and then a single optional 1-minute rebuttal. All right, the first question. What do you see as the biggest issue facing students on campus today, and how will you specifically work as president of the USS to resolve that issue? Caroline, you have 2 minutes for your initial response starting now.
Yeah. So like I said before, I think that the biggest issue at hand right now is the safety of our students. I have a lot of my friends come up to me and talk about all of the sexual assault emails that we get, pretty regulatory, which is absolutely unacceptable, and it definitely needs to change. I would say that that is the biggest issue at hand. Tangible solutions for that is not sending emails and not just posting about it and not doing all of these other things. People are having protests. This is something that the student body matters or cares about, and it matters to them. We need to educate. We need to educate men and women on what sexual assault is and what it is that they need to report and how to report it. And we also need to believe our survivors. As a sexual assault survivor myself, every time I get an email, it absolutely breaks my heart because I know that probably the women that were assaulted, their assaulter is probably not going to face any consequences. And I want to be able to do something about that. I know that there's a lot of legality into it, but I want to dive into it and create tangible solutions, and that is education. Knowledge is key in this sense, and I think that it's incredibly important for us to educate our freshmen, our men, our women, anybody, on what sexual assault is and how to prevent it. Thank you.
Miles, you have 2 minutes for your initial response starting now.
Thanks, Abby. I think the largest problem students are facing here at Virginia Tech is very simple. There is a lack of voice for undergraduate students in the larger governance system. Students often feel that they're left out of the conversation when big decisions are made, and that's not okay. Undergraduate students make up the largest constituency group here at Virginia Tech. We have a faculty-student ratio of 14-1, so why does the faculty voice always outweigh the student voice? It's a big question. Looking forward to USS, And how do we solve that problem? It starts by listening. We have 17 different UCSOs that are now incorporated into USS. That's just a start. We have over 900 different student organizations here on campus that cover a wealth of different constituencies. And it's our job as their representatives to go there and listen to what they think are the real issues, and then use us as a forum to send those to upper administration. That is our primary goal, and that is how we solve the problem of lack of voice. I would like to comment, I think Ms. Laura is absolutely right. Sexual assault is a huge issue, and I could not empathize more with you and every other survivor here on this campus.
Thank you, Miles. Caroline, do you have a rebuttal?
No.
Okay. Thank you. We will move on to the next question. How do you plan on working with the other student organizations and Virginia Tech departments on campus? Miles, you have 2 minutes for your initial response starting now.
Sure, I think that's a great question. My primary point, first thing in my platform, is increasing connection between undergraduate students and USS. So how do we do that? Like I just said, it starts by listening. We have a body of over 100 people, right? The majority of those people are senators. If we can send those senators to regular meetings and say, I want you to go, don't say anything, just listen. Tell us what they're, and then report back and say, this is what the issues that they're facing are. That's one instant connection to undergraduate students so that they feel they're well represented. But even more than that, with departments, it comes from just a general understanding that we're here to work together to create a better Virginia Tech. That's the whole reason any AP faculty, student, staff wants to be here. We want to make Virginia Tech a better place. So in order to do that, it just comes with genuine connection. Sitting down in meetings and saying, hey, I've got this problem. How can you help me? Asking the advisors and saying, hey, who can I connect with that can help me solve this problem relating to dining or housing and residence life or whatever the case may be. That's the key, is talking to people and staying communicative with student groups as well as faculty and administration groups.
Caroline, you have 2 minutes for your initial response starting now.
Yeah, I agree with essentially everything that you said. I think that communication is absolutely key. I think that communication on educating people on what USS is and what we stand for as well versus what SGA stood for is also going to be a key factor in getting people to reach out to us and getting people to want to be involved and just expressing to them that this is a different platform than what SGA was. I know that a lot of people didn't know that USS was a thing, and so I think that that could be like a first initial step in telling people what USS is. And then, like you said, definitely having senators go to meetings and just sitting and listening. Communication is absolutely key as well, and understanding what it is that our student body wants from us.
Miles, do you have a rebuttal?
No.
Thank you. We will move on to the next question. How do you plan to make the USS more visible on campus? Caroline, you have 2 minutes for your initial response starting now.
I love that question. I am in Alpha Chi Omega, and I am also in Panhellenic as well. And so one of the things that I think is really cool about Greek life and that organization is that there is an intertwine of community. I think that reaching out to Greek life as well as everybody else, and just understanding, because a lot of the population of our undergraduate body is a part of Greek. So I think that that would be a really good way to reach out. Another thing would be to put up flyers and to put posters and to hold events and to promote those events to the extent that people are kind of sick of it. Because if you see something in the back of your mind and you kind of remember it, it's one thing. But if it's constantly in your face and it's constantly there, you remember it. Even if it's not necessarily good, you do remember what it is. And I think that that is super important in just trying to reach out and let everybody know what USS is and what it is that we stand for.
Miles, you have 2 minutes for your initial response starting now.
I think it's a great question. How do students know about us? That was a huge thing in the past. Students just didn't know that SGA was a thing. What did it do? How did it exist? What did it exist for? All those were valid questions that we got on a regular basis. And that's a huge thing we have to look at going forward. So I'm going to go back to the same point. Going to meetings, saying, hey, we are here for you. Our job is to represent your needs to everyone else, right? We are your conduit to do that. If they know we exist by actually physically sending people to the places that matter, that's how we're going to get it done. I would like to address one thing that Ms. Lohr said about engaging in Greek life. I think Greek life is a huge portion of campus. It's 19%, about 5,100 students. The problem, though, was SGA became too Greek. We had an administration that was governed by and ingrained in Greek life, and that became part of the problem. So, yes, Greek life is a huge constituency, and we should reach out to them, but they shouldn't be our only point of focus.
Caroline, do you have a rebuttal?
Yeah.
Your 1 minute starts now.
Okay. No, absolutely. I think that that's a great point as well in understanding that Greek life and USS are two completely different things. I just think that there are a lot of people in Greek life that can just get the word out. I mean, like you said, how the percentage, there's a lot of 5,100?
5,100.
Yeah, 5,100 students. Just having a voice out there and they're a part of other clubs. I think that it's a great way to expand it, but not make it the entire thing.
Miles, do you have a rebuttal?
More of a response than a rebuttal.
Your 1 minute starts now.
Thank you. I think what Caroline just said is absolutely right. I think Greek life is a good conduit for engaging other people. They have a large following on social media and in person, and that can be an invaluable resource if we can learn from those kinds of strategies. It's just a matter of making sure that Greek life doesn't take over USS like it did in the past, and that was part of the problem.
Thank you. We will move on to the next question. What motivated you to run for office? Miles, you have 2 minutes for your initial response starting now.
That is an absolutely fantastic question, and I have one easy response to it because it's all from my heart, which is for the students. There's a reason that's my campaign slogan. I joined student governance here as a freshman because I was passionate about the work that student government can do in order to better the lives of undergraduate students, and that's what we're here for. Undergraduate students are our constituency. There can be no question about that. And as we look toward the future of USS, making sure that they know we're here for them, key word, for them, and not for some ulterior motive, is the absolute pinnacle of our mission.
Caroline, you have 2 minutes for your initial response starting now.
I am a go-getter. I love taking on new activities and trying to push change. That's why my slogan is Be the Change. I think that society is constantly progressing and that we need to try to not necessarily keep up with every single thing that's going on, but understand that things do need to progress and things do need to change. And I really just want to see action. I am a transfer student from the University of Kentucky, and last year I know everything happened with SJ and stuff, but I didn't really know how to get involved, and I wish that I would have had somebody to push and reach out or to promote stuff. And so I really just want to be that person that I wish that I had in a lot of different instances for USS.
Miles, do you have a rebuttal?
Again, more of a response than a rebuttal. I hate the word rebuttal. It sounds so nasty.
Your 1 minute starts now.
Thank you. So I think what Caroline said is absolutely right. The other thing, though, I'll add is that when we're talking about reaching out to people, the president is the forefront of the organization, right? It's our job as a president to say, we are here, come talk to us. One of the first things I asked an advisor when I got to student governance here, my freshman year, was, can I just set up a table on the drill field and say, I'm in student government, how can I help you? And they were like, we can't do it because of all the red tape and this and that. And I was like, that sucks. I wanted to do that. And that's the kind of thing I'm bringing to the table here, is that passion for the students themselves and what they bring to the table for us.
Caroline, do you have a rebuttal?
No.
Thank you. We will move on to the next question. How do you plan to promote inclusivity at Virginia Tech? Caroline, you have 2 minutes for your initial response starting now.
I think that's a great question. I think that it's an incredibly important question as well. I know that Virginia Tech just won a diversity award, but I also know that only 4% of the student population for undergraduate are Black students, and I feel like that we need to add more to just everything. Whether it be clubs, whether it be stuff that we talk about in class. I know one thing that, could be inclusive is talking about critical race theory and talking about how it is that we can implement our studies into being the truth and being inclusive, going back to being knowledgeable. I think we definitely can add more stuff to include everybody, whether it's through social media or whether it's through different clubs, organizations. Yeah.
Miles, you have 2 minutes for your initial response starting now.
This is a fantastic question, and it goes back to one of the key core values that we have in USS, which is right up there. It's representation, right? We're here to be the representative body for undergraduate students. So we have to fulfill that and actually be the representative body for undergraduate students. In USS itself, when I wrote it, our whole goal was putting that in the document, putting that in the structure. So we have 17 different seats designated for UCSOs. For UCSOs, those are mostly cultural organizations, but it stands for University Chartered Student Organization. And this is critical because they bring a unique constituency to USS directly via their seat. And that's just one thing. Secondly, we have a new position within USS, courtesy of the new structure, which is Vice President for Equity and Inclusion. That's a huge aspect. It's their job. Charlie, I know you're running for it. It's that person's job to go out and say, hey, does this legislation or does this initiative we're working on meet that need of representation right there on that screen? But lastly, though, on a more personal level, I went just yesterday and talked to Asian American Student Union and LASSO and said, what can USS do to help you? And they gave me a bunch of good thoughts saying, hey, this is what Asian students or Latinx students are struggling with. And so talking and engaging in those kinds of conversations, like I was talking about earlier, all goes back to that same point of connection, being in the same room with people, engaging in communication. That's the key.
Caroline, do you have a rebuttal?
Yes, I have a response.
Your 1 minute starts now.
I think what Miles said is absolutely important as well with going back to communication and talking to people about what it is that we can do. I know that personally, I have had white privilege, and so what I think might be best for a person of color, or the person of color community, might not be the best thing. And so talking and making a platform and creating a way in a safe space for them to voice their own opinion about USS and what we can do for them is incredibly important.
Miles, do you have a rebuttal?
I do not.
Thank you. We will move on to the next question. Why should the students of Virginia Tech trust you to get the job done? Miles, you have 2 minutes for your initial response starting now.
That is a fantastic question, and it goes back to something that I think is really important here, which is continuity. This entire transition process has been a whole deal. Let's just leave it there. We went from an old organization to a transition team to an organization, and we're starting it up now. And that's great, right? That's the whole goal of this, is to fix the problems of the past and turn it into something new. But when we're talking about USS, it all comes back to talking to people. It's a central idea. It seems almost implicit to me. I think that's where everything goes, connecting to people.
Caroline, you have 2 minutes for your initial response starting now.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. I have been in a lot of different positions throughout my life to hold a lot of confidentiality and to be a trustworthy person and to also be reliable. One of the things that I hold myself to is that when I say I'm going to do something, like I'm going to go through and do it. And I think that with everything being new in the whole transition stage, I think that this offers such a great opportunity for new perspectives and for new ideas and to really just hit the ground running and take full reins of what it is that USS stands for and what we want to do for the student body.
Miles, do you have a rebuttal?
Response.
Your 1 minute starts now.
Thank you. As far as getting the job done, I think it's about who has a proven track record. And personally, I think I do. I spent the last 9 months giving my time, talents, mental fortitude, every other fantastic, hardworking adjective you can think of, to USS. I worked with the advisors, I worked with the transition team, etc. But concrete examples, you ready? Less than 9 months, 35 university governance seats that were vacant were filled with student representatives. That's 35 places in the university governance system where students now had a new voice that wasn't there before. We formed a 12-person USS transition team and made USS a real thing from a blank document.
Caroline, do you have a rebuttal?
No.
Thank you. We will move on to the next question. How do you see the role of USS on campus growing over the next 5 years? Caroline, you have 2 minutes for your initial response starting now.
Yeah, what a fun question. So going back to what I said my slogan was, which is be the change, and going back to this progressive mindset that society and along with universities will be going through within the next 5 years. I think that climate change is going to be something that we talk about a lot more and that's going to be more implement. But in order to think that far ahead, we have to start thinking about it right now. And we have to start making plans. And we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, but we can try our absolute hardest to plan for it. I think that if we're thinking about 5 years in advance, then we need to think with a progressive mindset and we need to think with the idea of change being our forefront.
Miles, you have 2 minutes for your initial response starting now.
Thanks, Abby. What do the next 5 years look like? It's a great question. I mean, almost every job interview you go into says, where do you see yourself in 10 years? Right? It's a valid question. For USS, I think it's very well exemplified by the mission statement and the vision statement that we wrote in the transition team. I'm going to read them for everyone because I want everyone to know what they are. Mission statement: through servant leadership, meaningful advocacy, and the empowerment of the undergraduate student body, the Undergraduate Student Senate delivers a higher quality of life and inclusive representation for every Hokie. And then our vision statement: to be the national leader for collegiate student governance through impactful legislation, collaborative advocacy, and exemplary character. I think that says exactly what USS is supposed to be in 5 years.
Caroline, do you have a rebuttal?
No.
Thank you. We will move on to the next question. How have your experiences at Virginia Tech prepared you for this position? Miles, you have 2 minutes for your initial response starting now.
Experience, experience, experience. Presidential role is not an entry-level position, right? This is a committed time aspect of what does it take to be in USS? How do we get it done? Presidential position, we were briefed when we had our meeting with one of the advisors about it's a 20 to 30 hour a week position. It's a part-time job. And that begs the question of, what do we do? And I think when we're talking about all of that, experience comes down to what do we know about the system? I built the system.
Caroline, you have 2 minutes for your initial response starting now.
Could you repeat the question? I'm so sorry.
Yes. How have your experiences at Virginia Tech prepared you for this position?
Yeah, so to be quite frank with you guys, I like being very authentic. I don't like hiding things. When I first got here, I really did not like it. It was not, I had transferred from a place that I loved, and everything that could have gone wrong when I got here did, and I really was so over it. But last semester, things started to pick up, and I think going through that adversity and seeing the flaws of the system and seeing where things need to be changed and being able to meet new people and come to a school with a fresh slate and meeting different new people, I think that with my personality and what I've been through with trying to get to the school and where I'm at now, I think that I definitely have a good insight of where it is that things need to change. I obviously didn't write the USS Constitution, but I think that what I bring to the table offers a lot of personal experience and a lot of human connection.
Miles, do you have a rebuttal?
Addition.
Your 1 minute starts now.
When we're talking about what experiences have shaped how you're ready for this role, I think my past 3 years here have been absolutely phenomenal. I've loved every aspect of Virginia Tech so much that I became a Hokie ambassador, and on a regular basis I give tours to hundreds of people and say, hey, this is why I love Virginia Tech. You should totally come here, right? And that's huge. I love this school. I love everything about it. I love the students. When I got here, people always talk about, you go to your college, and when you walk on campus, you say, I knew, right? I knew that was the school for me. I knew. And over the past 9 months, serving in the role I have has really developed me both as an individual and as a leader. And I thank the advisors for that. I thank my transition team for that. Using those experiences and passion for Virginia Tech and for our students to help them in the future is what it's all about.
Caroline, do you have a rebuttal?
Yeah.
Your 1 minute starts now.
I like tech now. I love tech now. That's why I'm doing this. Just wanted to reiterate that. I really just want to hit on what you said, where it's like you have this passion, you have this drive. Tech is a phenomenal school, and I see that now. But at the time when things were really tough and I was going through it, I wish I had a helping hand, and I wish I had somebody to help guide me on a more personal and mental health level. I salute you for being a Hokie ambassador. I can walk that much. But I absolutely want to see the passion and the drive that we both have for the school to be portrayed to the student body.
Thank you. We will move on to the next question. How can the USS maximize its place within the governance structure to accomplish positive change for students? Caroline, you have 2 minutes for your initial response starting now.
Going back to what Miles said and what I've been saying too is just communicating. I think that a lot of things get misconstrued whenever we don't talk to each other, and whether things are getting assumed or, something goes around. I think that we just need to be very brutal and honest to the extent that it's not mean. It's just a matter of being, hey, this is what needs to happen. This is how we do it. Or if we don't know how to do it, that's okay. We don't have all of the answers. Nope, that's unrealistic. Talking about these things, learning about new ways to be innovative and to really, hit home on what Virginia Tech stands for. Looking for different ways to serve our body and to serve ourselves as well, because sometimes, leaders need to be pushed as well. Yeah.
Miles, you have 2 minutes for your initial response starting now.
Sure. The governance structure is under a total reform, and we are just one aspect of that. We're talking about 5 senates to represent the 5 major constituencies of Virginia Tech, and USS is one of those, the largest. When we're talking about where is USS's place within the governance structure and how do we use that to our advantage, USS and student representatives have 45, something around there, seats on university commissions and committees. Those are seats designated for students to go to campus development or whatever and say, you know what, this is what undergrads are thinking, and I think this is how we approach this issue. That's the whole point. That's why they're there. So using that as an opportunity to get undergraduate students widespread across the governance structure is just one aspect. But as president, we have places in University Council, President's Committee on Governance, President's Advisory Group, and these are dedicated forums where we're supposed to be there to represent undergraduate students, and using those to our fullest advantage when we're in conversations with President Sands, Provost Clark, Senior Vice President Pickney, and everyone higher up the food chain, we can say, this is what undergrads are thinking, here's how we think you should tackle it, let's have a discussion. One last thing, though, is that the new structure of governance has us going directly to University Council. The old way was Senate would pass something, then it would go to a commission, then it would go to University Council. Now it goes directly from Senate to Council, and there's no middleman. So all we have to do is work directly in the Senate and put it to University Council, and that's one less middleman to cut out of the equation to get undergraduate students' voices at the important tables.
Caroline, do you have a rebuttal?
No.
Thank you. We will move on to the next question. If your personal beliefs contradicted that of the student body and/or USS efforts, and you had to speak on the issue, how would you handle that? Miles, you have 2 minutes for your initial response starting now.
That's a great question. Any representative role, no matter where they are in the food chain, is going to have personal biases. But the point is that they stay personal. Your personal feelings about an issue don't matter when you're representing 29,000 students, right? Your voice is just one of those 29,000 students. So it's your job to say, this is what 20,000 out of 29,000 students think. Let me take that directly and say, President Sands, this is what the majority is thinking, even if you disagree. Your job as president, as a senator, whatever it might be in USS, is to be there for the service of the students, not the service of yourself. And that is a key tenet of what I'm here for the students. I'm going to say it again and again, for the students. We are here to represent the students and their needs and their wants and their hopes, not our own.
Caroline, you have 2 minutes for your initial response starting now.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with everything that you said. It's not our place to push our personal beliefs if we are in the minority. Like you said, if 20,000 students agree with one thing, then that's what we push. While everybody's opinions are important and like you can voice them, we have to understand too that like it's just a matter of the majority and pushing that, and like you said, for the students. That is exactly what we're here to do and what we want to do and what USS is here for.
Miles, do you have a rebuttal?
I do not.
Thank you. Thank you, candidates, for your participation thus far. We will now release for a 5-minute break. We will reconvene at 6:50 p.m. for audience questions. If you have not yet, please use this time as an opportunity to submit questions for the candidates via the question submission form. As a reminder, QR codes for the form are located throughout the rows and on the slips you received on your way in.
Go get water. I know that's what I'm doing.
Okay. Huh? Yeah, but we'll give it a sec.
Sherlock.
All right, we will now reconvene so that candidates will have the opportunity to respond to questions submitted from the audience. Thank you to those who have submitted questions. Please feel free to continue doing so throughout this section. We will get through as many questions as we can. Candidates, for these questions, you will only have the 2-minute response. There will be no rebuttals for this section of the debate. All right, the first audience question. Virginia Tech has a 60% white student population. How will you make sure that students of color will feel at home and safe? What initiatives will you support to ensure that students of color will stay at Virginia Tech and not transfer out of the school to a more diverse school? Caroline, your 2 minutes starts now.
So like I was saying earlier, I think that it is incredibly important that we get everybody's opinion. Advocacy for me on a social level is a matter of creating a platform that people of color can come to feel safe to voice their own opinion. Like I said, I am white. I've had white privilege my entire life. It is not my place to speak on behalf of people who have gone through so much harder things that come out of racism. I think that it's incredibly important, and I want to try to create committees or create any type of group, get involved with groups, send people to groups. I just want to get every single person involved and everybody's voice to feel like they've been heard and to feel like that they have been validated as well.
Miles, your 2 minutes starts now.
Sure. It's a great question. I mean, we're a predominantly white institution. It's just a fact. We have to address it. Okay, so what do we do, right? How do we make sure that students of all races, all ethnic backgrounds, all sexual orientations, all genders, etc., feel welcome here on campus? And I think that goes back to one of the other key values we have for USS, which is approachability, right? We're here to say, you know what? Come talk to us. Tell us what's going on. And offering an avenue for students to address their honest concerns, I think helps people feel safe because they don't have to feel scared about, well, I can't say what I want to because they're not going to listen or they're not going to do anything about it. And so all of that says, like Caroline said, go back to people, say, you know what, Black Organizations Council, what are the big issues you're talking about this week? How can we help? You know what, Jewish Student Union, how can we help you? Tell us what's going on. Those kinds of things play into putting those collaborative thoughts into a singular action and saying, legislation, what can we do? How can we make this easy? Put it in writing, send it to University Council, get it through the Board of Visitors, make concrete change at Virginia Tech by listening to people, and that's where it all starts.
Thank you. We will now move on to the next question. There are a lot of issues that pertain to Virginia Tech students that aren't directly controlled by the school. For example, rent prices of off-campus housing. How will you work to address these types of issues? Miles, your 2 minutes starts now.
It's a great question. I think the fact that you brought up affordable housing in Blacksburg is huge. Just on a personal level, I mean, you walk around and you see the Union, the Hub, the Edge, and the prices are just skyrocketing. And in order to talk about issues for students, you have to have a good grasp of campus and local issues, right? One of our things as president is going to Blacksburg Town Gown and Blacksburg Town Council and talking about this is what students want, this is what students are worried about. And using that forum for students, I mean, it all comes back to generally the same idea here, but we have opportunities to speak to a larger audience to address these issues and be part of those conversations. So if town council is talking about how do we reduce housing in Blacksburg because people are living in Roanoke, Christiansburg, Salem, et cetera, all around the New River Valley because affordable housing in Blacksburg doesn't exist, then let's work on that. Let's talk with students, let's talk with townies and say, you know what, this is a productive solution.
Caroline, your 2 minutes starts now.
Absolutely. I think speaking to town council is probably one of the best things we can do, but also understanding that, like, as an individual student, you can't do much with talking to the hub or talking to the village or the retreat or anything like that. That is what we're here for. That is literally, like, the question, like I like that. But I think that we need to talk to the university and talk to the town council and even talk to surrounding towns and counties as well, and seeing how it is that we can combat this, because I know personally a lot of my friends, they live out in Christiansburg because it's too expensive to live here. So I think that we need to look at who is coming into this town, what type of apartments and complexes that we want, because I know the Hub, for example, no matter where they're at, it's going to be a lot of money, and so inviting them to come might not be the best idea if we're looking for affordable housing in the future.
Thank you. We will now move on to the next question. What will you personally do to protect and support the Jewish community when there is active anti-Semitism on campus targeting Jewish and pro-Israel students? Caroline, your 2 minutes starts now.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a great question. First thing we need to do is inform the community and just stop all hate crimes. I mean, that's in my platform as well, that there should be a zero tolerance to hate crimes. And I know in the past there have been a lot of actions that have been done on campus and off campus that have not been talked about by the university. And I think that it is incredibly important for, one, us to talk about the past and say that is absolutely unacceptable and it cannot happen again. And if it does happen again, consequences need to be enforced in it, that to get the message across that we are a zero tolerance, zero hate campus. And that is not something that we tolerate, nor will we stand.
Miles, your 2 minutes starts now.
Yeah. The recent issues relating to Jewish students are definitely on my mind, and that's especially because I know two of the people who are most central to the conflict. Brianna Schwan is the president of the Hillel Center. Jack Leff is our GPSS president. And this has been an ongoing battle about what is anti-Semitism, how do we combat it, et cetera, et cetera. And the two of them have been engaging in conversation, and I want to be part of that conversation, but also just talking about support and solidarity and saying, we're with you. We support you. We understand you. We're fully behind you. USS supports the Hillel Center in their efforts to make sure anti-Semitism is a zero-tolerance policy here at Virginia Tech, right? Students don't want to see hateful rhetoric. No one does. We're human. Why would we want to be that way? So let's make sure we're not that way. Let's talk about, this is how to be a good human. This is how I want to say, go Jewish students, or whatever the case may be. That's where it all lands.
Thank you. We will now move on to the next question. What are your plans to reduce sexual/gender-based violence on campus, especially following the recent protests led by United Feminist Movement? Miles, your 2 minutes starts now.
Yeah, that's a biggie. It's heartbreaking when so many students are experiencing this kind of violence on a regular basis. And it's just not okay. It never has been okay. Students need to feel safe on campus. And right now, a lot of women and men don't. And that's not okay. It's not who we are as a community of Hokies, right? Hokie community is something we always talk about as being loving and supportive. So let's own up to that. I am fully committed to working with the administration and with students who understand these issues and being that avenue, being that gateway between the two, and working productively to bring those two ideas together and say, this is concrete action we can take. I actually have a good connection to one Title IX advisor, and he gave me some good ideas about this is some good things we can do. Improve communication on case content itself, better coordination between the campus Title IX office and the Blacksburg Police Department, and then we have to fight to keep victim protection so that victims are kept away from abusers before the hearings and all that good stuff. This is an issue that is so central to what we stand for as Hokies, and we cannot let up because it matters to too many people. And we would not be doing our job if we just said, nah, that's not how we work. For the students, whatever the case may be.
Caroline, your 2 minutes starts now.
Like I said before, this is a issue that I see as a main problem right now. I absolutely think communication with Blacksburg Police and just communication with the students as well, along with the university. I want to see a push for mental health awareness and also mental health for the survivors. I know that we have Cook, and Cook is great, but I know that sometimes it can be incredibly overwhelming after something like this has happened, and I want to be able to help the victim in any way that we can. Talking about Title IX and being able to be open and understanding that maybe we talk about assaults that happen off campus as well, because tech only reports the ones that are on. And just making it more aware, or making students more aware of what sexual assault is and how to prevent it. And also, if somebody's doing it and they are unaware, the sex education up until now, at least in Virginia, is not very in detail. It's very surface level, and a lot of people don't necessarily know that calling a girl is not the right thing to do. So I think just educating people and being knowledgeable on every single topic, especially this one, in order to provide safety and insurance for our students.
Thank you. We will now move on to the next question. This question has been submitted specifically for Caroline. What experiences do you have in student advocacy or student service that have prepared you for this position? Your 2 minutes starts now.
Yeah, so like I said, I'm a transfer student, and I didn't have the opportunity to be as active as I wanted to last year, just with COVID and everything. But in high school, I was president of FFA. I was president of our youth and government club, and I'm also incredibly active in my sorority. And I said, like on Panhellenic, I am constantly looking for different ways and avenues to try to be more involved, because I feel like I've missed out on these opportunities in the past. I have been in leadership positions just scattered all throughout, and I'm also running for Vice President of Administration as well, because I really just want to be a part of something as great as USS.
Thank you. We will now move on to the next question. What are you going to do specifically to change the culture of the organization through this transition? Miles, your 2 minutes starts now.
This is a fantastic question, and I think it goes back to approachability. I try to be a nice guy. I try to have fun, right? I'm cracking jokes, I'm talking to people, I'm saying, hey, how you doing, right? It's very, being a good guy. The culture change in student government has to come from the highest levels and say, you know what? No, we're not going to be, I am super formal. My name is Miles Guth. I am president. You shall listen to me. No, we're not doing that. We're going to say, hi, I'm Miles. Welcome to USS. We're going to have a lot of fun. We're going to host events. We're going to do advocacy. We're going to do all this great stuff. And it comes from the top down, bringing people into an environment that feels fun and feels inclusive and feels like we're getting stuff done. All of that together will change the culture so that people in USS and outside USS are like, you know what? I feel like I can go talk to them. They know what they're doing. They're here for me, right? That's the culture change we're looking for. We just have to enact it. I try to be the best guy I can, working with other people, talking with other people, having fun, right? We're not only here to be government. We're here to have fun, right? We're students. It's college. Let's have some fun, right? Even if we're going to do it in a way that's productive for students, let's have some fun, right? Let's bring all of that together and say USS is a culture of accessible, approachable, and representative leaders that are here for the students.
Caroline, your 2 minutes starts now.
I think that transparency is the biggest thing. Once again, going back to like what you said, where it's like, it's not a hierarchy. We are not here pointing at you, this is what you have to do. We're all equals, and we just want to be able to serve and help our student body. I think reaching out and making people more informative of what USS stands for and what we don't stand for, and how we have progressed and how we have changed and over the transition period, and just expanding that as well. I know that there are a lot of people that want to get involved, but they don't know how. And I think that that would be a really good initiative that we could take to try to say, hey, like, this can be for literally anybody. You don't need, that many requirements to join. And as long as you are passionate and you have drive and you love Virginia Tech, like, you can absolutely join. I think just transparency and being open and honest, vulnerable, authentic. Like you said, I'm a nice guy too. So just anything and everything that we can do to relate more to the student body, because we are students,
Thank you. We will now move on to the next question. What part of the Virginia Tech Master Plan do you disagree with the most, and why? Caroline, your 2 minutes starts now.
I just want to be able to see everybody come to the table and be represented as equal. Like I said, we are not here to be like, no, 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 or yes, 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 anything like that. I just want to be able to come to the table and have everybody eat a piece of bread. I want to be able to see representation from all angles and see everybody come together and represent the student body the way that it should be.
Miles, your 2 minutes starts now.
Oh boy, the campus master plan. That's a biggie. This definitely came from someone who knows what the campus master plan is and has probably read every page of it. The campus master plan is Virginia Tech's overarching saying, when we were talking about what are we going to do in 5 years earlier, same kind of thing, right? This is Virginia Tech's plan to what are we going to be in 5 years. And to be honest, I haven't read the full thing. It's long, right? I want to, just got to find the time. But I think that when we come back to what can Virginia Tech be in 10 years, in 5 years, et cetera, we're a growing university, and we're going to support that growth with infrastructure, with campus development, with sustainability, with mental health awareness, et cetera, et cetera. Being that avenue, again, coming back to all the same thought, is being that avenue for students. That's the key. Whatever they disagree with in the campus master plan, it's our job to disagree with it in the campus master plan.
Thank you. We will now move on to the next question. Should student activism take place inside or outside of the university bureaucracy? If it takes place inside, then how do you guard against activists being co-opted by university corporate interests? Miles, your 2 minutes starts now.
That is a really good question. A lot of it comes down to the definition of activism, and I don't think there's any reason we can't be activists in student government, right? We're here to represent the interests of 29,000 undergraduate students. They're probably activists on their own level. Why can't we be? But when it comes to protecting it from corporate interests, when the university is saying something on a large scale, it's just, I think we have strength in numbers here, right? We have 29,000 people who will probably agree on a lot of different things when it comes down to it. And if we can say 29,000 people are saying this, let's get those people to the table. Let's have a public forum where X organization, Y organization, Z, A, B, et cetera, and all of the students involved in those comes together, and we arrange it with Tim Sands, with Provost Clark, with Vice President Pinckney, et cetera, et cetera. And those kinds of avenues just need to exist. And so when we're talking about students getting overshadowed by upper echelons of the university, we just have to remember that students make up 29,000 people. That's a lot, right? We're here to be the voice for those 29,000 people.
Caroline, your 2 minutes starts now.
Yeah, I think one, activism is great. I think when a lot of people come together to, fight for a view or fight for something that they want to see change, I absolutely salute that, and I think it absolutely should be on campus. Like you were saying with corporations and stuff, if the population agrees on something, then that is something that the university needs to take into consideration when deciding what are the next steps. And us being here, being president, being that in between and fighting for what it is that the students believe in, because we do represent 29,000 students, is incredibly important. And while I know that the legality of things and corporations do come into play, we are here for the students, and the students makes up Virginia Tech. Tech has to accommodate to students, and they have to acknowledge the activism that has been taking place without just a mere email, or if something is progressively getting worse or better or changing and people are constantly pushing for that. There has to be action and there has to be acknowledgement as well.
Thank you. We will now move on to the next question. This question has been submitted just for Miles. You said you loved every aspect of your time here at Virginia Tech, but there are many students who aren't as lucky. Countless students face bigotry and financial barriers that prevent them from having a positive experience. How do you plan to approach the flaws here at Virginia Tech that you yourself don't experience, but that other students do? Your 2 minutes starts now.
That is a fantastic question. And I thank you, whoever submitted that, whether they be in the audience or on the live stream. I really appreciate that. I can't speak on issues that I haven't experienced. It's not my place. So I need to talk to people and say, what are those issues you're facing? Are you a first-generation student who's struggling financially? Are you a transfer student who wants to get involved but doesn't know how? Whatever the individual case may be, bringing those voices together and uplifting them, right? Uplifting student voices on a university-wide scale is in my platform. The other thing, though, is that it has to kind of be a two-way street. The administration often doesn't provide information that's necessary for students, and that creates a barrier between the two. Students don't know what the administration is doing, and the administration doesn't know what the students want. That's a massive gap. We're here to close that. So when it comes to relating to students who don't share our same experience, we have to engage those students in the process, bring them to meetings, bring them to public forum. We gave students speaking rights at meetings expressly for that purpose. Come to the Senate, tell us exactly what you're thinking. Those kinds of things have to happen because we as senators can speak to what our constituents want only if they've told us and only if we've reached out to them.
Thank you, Miles. We will now move on to the next question. Do you have any action steps at this moment to ensure transparency with the student body? Caroline, your 2 minutes starts now.
That's what I want. I think that it is incredibly important to be authentic and to be open and to be honest and to look over, the legality of things and go over what it is that we can actually say versus what we can't. What are we withholding? What are we choosing not to say? And what can we say and what should we say? I think we need to, like Miles did the entire thing, but looking at the Constitution and being sure and understanding what it is, trying to progress that and also trying to communicate with students and getting involved. Part of the transparency also goes on the students as well in that we can be talking to a wall or we can have a conversation. Understanding what transparency is to students. And is that a matter of sending weekly emails? Is that a matter of talking in person, going to get coffee? Do we need to have like a forum? What is transparency in the definition of the question? And that is how we would go about achieving that definition.
Miles, your 2 minutes starts now.
How do we tackle transparency? This is big. It comes down to putting our information in a public forum where people can hear it. We have a brand new website. It looks great. Shout out to Jimmy Lowe, probably hopefully watching on the live stream, helping Jawan build it. It was awesome. Putting stuff on the website, putting stuff on the screens, making sure we advertise office hours, giving students the emails of their representatives so that they can contact them. All those kinds of things are really easy fixes that just didn't happen. Right? We have a perfectly good forum to do so. We have a social media platform. Let's put it out there, right? Let's say, go follow USS at VT. Go follow USS at VT. Those kinds of things are very simple action items we can take. We just have to do them, right? Just put them on a list. Check, check, check. Done. Transparency.
Thank you. We will now move on to the next question. This question has been submitted specifically for Miles. Records show that you've been a member of SGA since 2019. During this time, the council had received numerous allegations of misogyny, racism, ableism, and other examples of bigotry. How do you plan to elevate marginalized communities? What did you do then, and what will you do now? Your 2 minutes starts now.
This is a great question, and I'm really happy someone asked it. SGA, it failed. Straight up. It failed. It didn't work. The priorities were not in the right place. When it comes to my role in that, yes, I joined when I was a freshman, and I was joining because I was passionate about what student government can do. Over those 2 years, I sat in meetings, I listened, I learned, I talked to people, and now I'm in a place where I can do something about it. That's where it matters, right? Sticking it out, being a part of the organization because I believed in the mission of the organization. Student government can be something special, especially here at Virginia Tech. We are the only structure of our kind in the nation. We can do something for students if we simply say, we are here for students.
Thank you, Miles. We will now.
Sorry, I wasn't finished.
Okay, go ahead.
I apologize. Listening, learning, coming back to it and saying, you know what, I can be the change. That's where I live in all of this. Student government for me isn't about a resume line item or, yes, I was student body president, I can put that on my job application. That's not why I'm here. I'm here because students and other people matter to me. That's what's important here. SGA failed. Let's move on. Let's work productively with each other. Let's be that change. It's a great slogan. I think all we have to do is say, failures in the past, yes. Let's work towards the future together, engaging students and saying, it's our job to be here for you.
Thank you, Miles. We will now move on to the next question. How do you propose that we move forward in not only mitigating climate change, but also restoring environmental justice for the surrounding area of Blacksburg and Roanoke? Caroline, your 2 minutes starts now.
Yeah, one of my favorite topics. I think that there is a lot that we can do. We are an innovative research school, and I think that we need to go ahead and say, all right, climate change is real, it's happening, we are in the midst of it, what can we do to combat it, and where do we go from here? I have a lot of initiative projects that I'd love to talk to more people about and try to expand on, one of those being that we take our food and either put them into soil or give them to the farm that's across 460, just different innovative ways to try to lessen our carbon footprint in the most ethical way we can. Another thing that we can do is going to ethical and local community or like businesses and bringing those into campus and being like, hey, you know what, here we are at D2, try this, Joe's down the street, try this. Different local businesses that we can bring in and try to let our student body know what is going on over there, what is in downtown. Go check out the farmers market. Set up propaganda to try to make our student body more climately aware as well. Talking about the 5 years in advance, I think that a lot of the stuff that we do now can affect heavily what those 5 years will look like.
Miles, your 2 minutes starts now.
Campus sustainability is definitely a huge thing, especially because we are such a large university, right? We house 35,000 students, including graduate, professional, and undergrad, and we leave a big mark. We're a huge part of the community, especially here in Montgomery County and Virginia. People know what Virginia Tech is. People know that it's not quite up to snuff yet. And when we talk about how do we improve campus sustainability in pursuit of helping the pursuit of climate change, we actually, Virginia Tech made a climate action commitment, I think, 2 years ago at this point, and renewed that. So let's go back to that. Let's say, hey, 1, 2, 3, 4 things are stuff we committed to, so let's have undergraduate students, graduate students, staff, faculty, et cetera, come together and put forward concrete solutions to get to those goals, right? We have aspirations, we just have to work towards them. We've done stuff like, if you've noticed, a lot of the BT buses now are electric. We've used reusable to-go containers in dining halls. We have compostable containers in dining halls. Little things like that can make a difference, but it's a matter of making sure that they're happening effectively and working towards the aspirations we set for ourselves. Because aspirations are exactly that. But the whole point is that we have to get to them and then we've really achieved something. So let's look at the climate action commitment. Let's look at what scientists are saying from all across the world as far as how to combat climate change. Let's look at federal policy and say, you know what, we think this definitely could work on our campus and reduce it to a campus level. All of those kinds of things can play into how do we combat climate change actively here at Virginia Tech as students, as staff, as faculty, and as a student government organization.
Thank you, Miles. We will now move on to the next question. Do you have any action steps at this moment that would let prospective students learn about the Undergraduate Student Senate? How can we make sure students see USS as a high importance of their college experience? Miles, your 2 minutes starts now.
It's a great question. Awareness is absolutely key. And I think one of the things we should do is just look into forums where new students are coming in, whether it be transfer or first-year students, looking into those places and saying, okay, let's have someone speak at orientation and say, you know, hi, I'm Miles, I'm the USS president, this is what USS is all about, we're here to represent you, great, on to the rest of the event. But little things like that can matter, as long as we work to actually engage in them. There's plenty of areas where new students are having conversations or engaging with others, and we just have to include ourselves in those forums, whether it be as simple as a Facebook group or organizing events over the summer, going to orientation, being present at Welcome Week. All these kinds of things are not brand new, but are a key aspect of how to engage newer students at the university. And USS is hinging on engaging newer students. If we bring them in, they're the future of the organization. It's like we talk about on a national level, you know, the youth is the future of America. Same thing. First-year students, transfer students are the future of USS. So let's make sure they're aware, they know what they're doing, and they want to be a part of us. Let's talk to them. Let's put the name out there. Let's get ourselves in these forums to tell them we exist and we are here for them.
Caroline, your 2 minutes starts now.
Yeah. That's exactly what I was going to say. I would like to say, though, that explaining what USS is versus SGA, because I know, like you said, we are the only, this type of government in the nation, and so seeing USS versus SGA, if somebody was looking for that, might be a little confusing. So just clarifying, what it is that we are and being able to reach out. Talking during Welcome Week, I know transfer students receive a crap ton of emails. Sending one of those emails out there and being like, hey, this is it. Having advisors speak to students specifically, whether it's from any major. I know that a lot of times it's like political science majors, USS. You're a bio major, I'm a psych major. Like, reach out to the broader aspect of the student body instead of just what it should be. You know what I mean? I think being active and pushing it out there, showing a face, having somebody be the front and center leader to the group is going to be so incredibly important in how we go about this.
Thank you, Caroline. We will now move on to the next question. What would you say is an area you struggle with, and how do you plan on growing in this aspect? Caroline, your 2 minutes starts now.
Yeah, so once again, being very authentic and frank with you guys, I don't know the Constitution and the actual write-up of the government. I definitely don't know it as much as Miles, but I am willing to learn. I am willing to sit down and go through every single thing that was written and asking why. What was it that we had to change? What was it that we wanted to keep? What was the purpose of this? Understanding and having that knowledge to the fullest extent, I would say is probably my biggest weakness right now. I haven't been involved in SGA or USS before, but I think that while there are negatives to that, there are also a lot of positives as well, bringing fresh eyes and new ideas to the table. But I think absolutely becoming more knowledgeable on USS and everything that goes into it and what went into it and why is my biggest struggle right now.
Miles, your 2 minutes starts now.
I think for me, it's about delegation. I mean, I like to know what's going on. I like to have people I can trust, and sometimes that means that I like to do a lot of things myself because it might seem simpler, or I can ensure that they get done to my liking. But one of the things that's really come about from being in this position for the past 9 months is learning to trust people and say, you know what, I know you can do this right, so I'm just going to give it to you. And they come back and it's fantastic, right? Excuse me. The transition team was a group of 12 people, and we worked in individual committees, we worked as a whole group, but there was a time when we were trying to do everything as the four of us when we were writing the Constitution and bylaws, and then the other two committees were writing their documents. And I said, you know what, this isn't going to work. So we delegated. We said, I'm going to call them by name because that's just how I know them. Jimmy, I want you to write this section. Alyan, I want you to write this section. Mallory, I want you to write this section. Hi, guys. And that kind of thing is important, and it's something I've struggled with, but I'm learning that when you have capable leaders in the places that matter, you can easily just give it to them, and they'll come back, and it'll be fantastic. So working to actively delegate is a big thing for me, and I'm looking forward to that because now we have 6 vice presidents who are going to be integral to USS, and I'm looking forward to working with them and saying, you know what, I can't make this meeting, or I'm too busy to work on this legislation. How about you take it, right? Little things like that. Delegation, it's always been a thing for me, but I'm looking forward, and I have learned how to combat that and say, I trust you, let's get this work done.
Thank you. We are now going to move on to closing statements. If we did not get to your question that you submitted, we will be providing them to the candidates following the debate so we can share their response on social media. Thank you, Caroline and Miles, for your participation in tonight's event. Before we conclude, you have the opportunity to share a closing statement. You have 2 minutes each for these statements. Caroline, your 2 minutes for your closing statement starts now.
Thank you. This has been kind of fun. This has been really fun, actually. I've never done this before, and we were talking about it beforehand. This is super cool. So thank you to everybody that is watching, or it's an audience, or put it together. I really want to express my gratitude to you and to Miles as well, because without you guys, this would have never happened. I want to end with sharing a little bit more as to why I'm running and where my drive and motivation comes from. When I was 10, my mom passed away to a long and hard fight against breast cancer. She was diagnosed when I was 5, and during her time with cancer and without, she was the most driven, optimistic, and hard-working woman I had got to know. She was a motivational speaker and was constantly pushing everyone around her to be their best self, and while she was pushing herself. She is my role model and someone who I strive to be like every day. And through this position, I want to make changes and implement what she impacted on my life to the student body and to those that I'm working with. Through pushing for others, it's my goal to push for safety for our students, find tangible solutions to the sexual assaults that have been happening, and ultimately put them to an end, push for equity and an enforcement of protection of Title IX, and expand on mental health resources and inform students about these resources and be open to ways Virginia Tech can become more environmentally sustainable. Thank you again so much. This was really fun.
Miles, your 2 minutes for your closing statement starts now.
So, due to the nature of this entire transition process, the need for continuity and experience in the presidency is more apparent than ever. Now, let's be clear about something. We built a brand new model for student government from scratch in less than 9 months. We wrote 3 major governing documents to truly build USS from just an idea into a reality. And not to mention, we made USS the only student government organization of its kind in the United States. That is the spirit, work ethic, passion, and gumption we need in the president's office right now. And that's exactly what I bring to the table. I've spent the last 9 months giving my time, talents, and mental fortitude to everything in the USS. I've made terrific connections with faculty and upper administration, and we led the charge to write the Constitution and bylaws such that USS becomes a full-blown student government powerhouse at Virginia Tech. But beyond all of that, if I had to tell you why USS is important to me in a single word, it would be potential. The potential to develop a whole group of capable student leaders. The potential to work constructively with others and implement lasting change at the university we all call home. And the potential to truly give undergraduate students a meaningful and powerful voice on campus. USS is a special organization for one reason. We exist for the students, and it is of my highest priority that we make sure we honor that promise. This organization and the students we serve mean everything to me. And we will not fail you because we are here for you. Thank you to everyone who came out tonight, Ms. Lohr, the moderators, and everyone watching. I really appreciate it. Good night.
Thank you again to everyone for joining us tonight at the 2021 presidential candidate debate for the Undergraduate Student Senate. And thank you to the candidates for sharing more about your platform. Candidates will be hanging out after the debate if you would like to speak with them. We will also be right back here in Haymarket Theater tomorrow night at 6 p.m. for the vice presidential debate. And as a reminder, voting is next week from October 18th to 21st on Gobbler Connect. This concludes tonight's debate. We hope everyone has a safe night.